All right, so it appears that Jermell, Charlo, and Erislandy, Lara might be fighting each other. Man, I'm telling you, if that is the truth, I would be very, very excited. Not as excited as I would be as if it was Jason Rosario, but shoot, I'll take it. Let's talk about Jermell, Charlo, and Erislandy, Lara in this video. All right, welcome back. All right, so Erislandy Lara, the Cuban fighter, former WBA 154-pound champion who lost his title to Jarrett Hurd, is rumored to be in position to fight for the WBC 154-pound championship of the world against Jermell Charlo. That is a very interesting fight, man, because there is so much background between Jermell Charlo and I want to say Demetrius Andrade, but it's Erislandy Lara. They both at one point in time were training out of Houston with Ronnie Shields. I believe it was Erislandy Lara was there. Erislandy Lara, Jermell Charlo, and Jermell Charlo were all training with Ronnie Shields up until a few years ago, where Jermell Charlo made a shift and went with Derrick James, started training with Derrick James in Dallas, Texas, who is also the trainer of Errol Spence Jr., one of the best trainers in boxing. So Jermell Charlo's actually he's had some great trainers in his life. Ronnie Shields is an excellent trainer, and Derrick James is an excellent trainer. But to see these two guys come together and fight each other, man, that would be a very, very good fight. And a fight though, that, you know, it's a second favorite fight. The fight that I would like second most for Jermell Charlo at the 154 pound division. But if Jermell Charlo was able to win this fight against Erislandy Lara, for me, that would solidify something that I've been saying about that. I guess I haven't been saying it that long, but after the Tony Harrison fight, after Jermell Charlo won his championship back from Tony Harrison by knockout. Then I was like, nah, this is the time to really start giving Jermell Charlo the credit that Jermell Charlo deserves. Jermell Charlo, in my opinion, deserves to be high up on people's pound for pound pound for pound conversations, man. This guy has pretty much everything that you want to have in a boxer. Jermell, he has, and this is something that Scrapbook Boxing would say. I got off Scrapbook Boxing off his channel when he talked about how to look at pound for pound, right? Historically, how people were looking at and judging what pound for pound is. And I thought it was a really great explanation. One is that basically what he said is that you look at the 4 scoring criterias for boxing, which are effective aggressiveness, defense, ring generalship, and clean and effective punching. Did I say that? Defense, clean and effective punching, ring generalship, and effective aggressiveness. But all 4 of those things, if you look at a fighter and you say, okay, how well does he do in each 4 of those areas? So how good is Jermell Charlo's defense? I think his defense is excellent. I think his defense is excellent. He's very, very aggressive, and he's effectively aggressive, and he has very, very clean and effective punching, and he's done it against top level opposition. The 154 pound division, along with 147, but 154 to 147, both those weight classes, those are probably some of the deepest divisions in boxing. And you can see it by the way that each one of the champions at 154 pounds keep getting beat. So you had, and so anyway, without going too much into that, that's the reason why I'm saying if you prove that you're the best fighter at 154 pounds, I think that you should be considered in a top pound for pound type of conversation, man. If he being able to beat Tony Harrison is really, Tony Harrison is he's no easy out. But Jermell Charlo is also beaten. He also beat a very up and coming but very, very solid fighter in J-Rock. If he can get past Erislandy Lara, I mean, I don't think that there should be much of an argument against that, man. Erislandy Lara, even though he is not a champion right now, and some people might say that he's a little bit long in the tooth, but look at the fights that he's given against some of the best fighters in the world. First of all, I think that I definitely believe he beat Canelo Alvarez. I don't see how. I was very, very, very unhappy with the scorecard for Canelo Alvarez versus Erislandy Lara, man. I think Erislandy Lara won that fight, but I respect the judge's decision. But even in the loss that he had against Jarrett Hurd, man, Jarrett Hurd is a very hard fighter, pressure fighter, was coming off of a big win against Austin Trout, and Erislandy Lara very well could have won that fight and beat Jarrett Hurd, except for the fact that he got knocked down in the 12th round. Also, I think he might have fought Brian Castano. I think Brian Castano versus Erislandy Lara was fought to a draw. So the fact that he was that close to beating J-Rock and that close to beating Brian Castano, I think the last fight Erislandy Lara had was kind of a bit of a walk in the park, still tells you that he is way up there at the top of the 154-pound division. And it is also the fight with Erislandy Lara and Jermell Charlo. That's definitely not a gimme for Jermell Charlo. I've heard some people, when they told me about the fight taking place, said that they thought that Jermell Charlo could knock him out in 5-6 rounds. I don't see it, man. I think Erislandy Lara has enough left in the tank and enough footwork and that kind of awkward southpaw style where, he could really cause a lot of trouble for Jermell Charlo. But again, it's a fight and for all of those reasons, that's a fight I think is one of the better fights that can be made at 154 pounds. And as a result, one of the better fights that you can make in boxing, period. Now, it is not, however, the real fight at 154 pounds that I'd like to see. If I could change it up a little bit, I would have Jermell Charlo go right in with Jason Rosario. Jason Rosario is the guy, is the man that beat the man that beat the man. He was the man that beat Jarrett Hurd. He's the man that beat J-Rock, and J-Rock was the man that beat Jarrett Hurd, and Jarrett Hurd was the man that beat Erislandy Lara. So, I'd rather have it be Jason Rosario that Jermell Charlo's fighting, but Jason Rosario pretty much sounded like right out of the gate that he wasn't ready to fight Jermell Charlo, wasn't looking for a Jermell Charlo fight. I guess he wanted to be a little bit more than a one and done. He didn't want to be a one and done type of dude. So he's thinking better of it. But I would much rather have that fight, because that could just get around to who the best 154 pounds, or at least get 3 of the belts in 154 pounds together. I know Teixeira is the guy with the 154 pound WBO belt. If Erislandy Lara could fight him, that would be great. And then have the Erislandy Lara or Teixeira winner meet up with the Jermell Charlo versus Jason Rosario winner. But that just would be way too much like right. And also, man, it's going to be, when boxing comes back off this hiatus, it's going to be interesting to see how many of these fights get packed in, man. I can imagine that the schedule for boxing is going to be thick. And with all the competition between these dates, maybe the promoters and them would be more inclined to put on highly competitive fights. But I wouldn't really hold my breath waiting. I wouldn't hold my breath waiting on that, man. But all in all, how the fight I think is going to turn out, I would take Jermell Charlo by a split decision win. I guess I shouldn't. I would take Jermell Charlo by a decision win. I don't think he's going to knock him out, and I do think there's a chance that the judges are going to be kind of in between who wins the fight. But I would definitely take Jermell Charlo to beat Erislandy Lara. Number one, they're very familiar with one another with all the sparring and stuff that they've done. And more than likely, Jermell Charlo was sparring Erislandy Lara when Jermell Charlo was not quite as developed as he is now. And Erislandy Lara was, at the top, at the peak, in the prime of his fighting skills. My understanding is that Erislandy Lara used to give both the Charlo brothers the business. But hey, that's when you're the older guy fighting the younger dudes and you've got more experience and you've got that excellent Cuban pedigree, things like that can happen. But hopefully we'll get to see the fight. You let me know what you think in the comment section about the fight, how it would turn out. And with that, I'm out. Peace.